You guys wondered where this intro song went? I had to bring it back. Let's go!
Rent got too expensive, had to leave LA. San Diego's where I'm headed, I'm mixing it up like a parfait. Playing poker every day, going all in with these fish like I'm at an all-you-can-eat buffet.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. We're here in San Diego with our buddies Marsh and Isaac, headed over to 7 Mile. Heard there's great action over there. Yeah, so let's get right into the hands. Let's roll the drone shots. Let's go! I'm excited to check out a new casino for the vlog. I was put onto this place by Johnny Vibes, so if it's good enough for him, it should be above par for me as well. We take a seat in the 2-3 game, waiting for a spot at 5-5. I end up making $83 in the hour waiting there, and then our name finally gets called. We're into the 5-5 for $982. First hand of the night, I look down at ace-10 of spades from the hijack. There's one limp to me, so I raise it up to $30. We're going to get called in 2 spots, the big blind and middle position both called, going 3 ways to a flop which comes monotone all hearts, but it's 10 high, giving us top pair. Not exactly the worst flop. The big blind checks, and now middle position leads out for $50. Strange donking into the pre-flop raiser, who is me, but I can't go anywhere for $50. I put in the call, and now we're going to go heads up when the big blind folds, seeing another heart, the 7 of hearts on the turn. The middle position does not slow down on this 4th heart on the board. He decides to bet out now for $100. The problem is he only is $60 behind, so if I call this $100 bet, I might as well just put my entire stack in, which is exactly what I do. I put him in for $160 and he calls. Now, this definitely is not something I'll do all the time. You guys are probably thinking, why am I getting it in with just top pair with no heart? Well, I was profiling the player. He was an action player, and he only had 160 left, so definitely not something you're going to see me do hardly ever, but in this moment, that's what I decided to do, and we see a 3 of diamonds on the river. I turn over my top pair, and he turns over 7-8 offsuit, but he had the 8 of hearts. So you can see my read wasn't totally wrong. He had a very speculative hand pre-flop, calling that raise, and then remember, he bet onto the flop for $50 with 7-8 offsuit, so you can really get a read on the type of player he is. Just unfortunate in this spot, he's going to scoop that first pot. I decided to add on for $300 more, so I'm full stacked at $1,000. Under the gun raises it up to $15. There's 2 callers, and now the same player in that last hand with 7-8 offsuit decides to 3-bet to $50. Action's on me, and I threw that first hand in there to show you guys what kind of a player he was. Now I have to go for the 4-bet to $125. Probably even could be sizing up to like $175. $125 is a little bit too small in my opinion, and only he puts in the call. So we're going heads up in position to the flop with the player we want to be playing bloated pots with, and it comes ace high, ace-8 for rainbow. Action's on me. I'm under the gun, and when I'm out of position on these very dry boards, I'm going to check it over to the opponent. By checking it over to him, it allows him to go for some bluffs. He could also check behind with worse hands like 10-9, 10-7, and then catch up on the turn in a way that he can call 2 streets. So that's what I decided to do. I check it over to him, and he checks behind, bringing in the jack of clubs on the turn. Now we definitely can't check it over to him. There's a lot more draws out there like 9-10, the club draws obviously, and I decided to bet out for $100, which I think is fair. Looks like my check on the flop tricked the opponent. He decides now to raise me to $300. He has around 550 total, so around 250 behind that $300 raise, and I decide let's just get it in right now. My logic is if he has a draw, we need to get it in now. We're out of position, so if I just call this 300 and check to him on the river, he's just going to bet with all the hands that have us beat, and then he's going to check with all of his bluffs, considering he only has 250 behind. So I really like my decision here just to rip it all in. If he got his hand caught in the cookie jar, he's still going to have to put the money in because of pot odds. Sure enough, that's what he does. He calls for $250 more, and we're off to a river in a $1,400 pot, which comes the deuce of spades. I turn over my cards, ace queen offsuit, and he turns over ace 10, so sure enough, my check on the flop did the trick. It's possible he would have called me down for 3 streets and got it in anyways, but still nice to know that my different line here got me maximum value. We're taking down that $1,400 pot, and best of all, we get our chips back from the player in the first hand. Can't even make this up. You can see there's proof on the screen. I haven't even had time yet to rack up my chips from that last hand. The same guy that I just busted buys in for $400 more. That's important because he starts off the action by raising it up to $50. Clearly, you can deduce that he might be on a little bit of tilt. I look down at pocket kings, a dream spot. It's just not fair sometimes, and I decide to 3-bet him again to $125. When he goes all in for $400, music to my ears, never doing anything other than snap calling, I put in the all-in button and we're off to a runout. Flop comes 8-6-4 with 2 spades. The turn comes a 4 of spades, so looking to fade another spade on the river, considering I have 2 red kings. River comes a 7 of diamonds. I turn over my kings and he briefly flashes ace-queen offsuit and mucks his cards. And just like that, he tosses his rack over to us. Hadn't even had time to take his chips out of the rack. They're already coming my way. Like Frank Sinatra once said, I did it my way. Other than scooping in pot after pot, my way is looking down at ace-king offsuit again here from the hijack. The +1 raises it up to $20, and I 3-bet him to $60. It's pretty standard so far, and he puts in the call. When we see a flop of Jack 5 deuce, the opponent checks it over to me. I think a standard 1/3 pot size bet is appropriate here. I'm going to have all of the strong hands like jacks, queens, kings, aces, ace, jack. $45 is the price of poker if he wants to continue. It doesn't matter that I just have ace high. He puts in the call and we're off to the turn. When he checks it over to me for a second time, I could either go for one of 2 lines. I could check it behind here and play it cautiously, or I could represent all the strong hands in my range and go for a large bet here of $150 to $250. I decide in the moment to check it behind, bringing in the ace of diamonds on the river. We definitely get bailed out here, and he checks it over to me for a 3rd time. Now, let's just think if I didn't hit my ace of diamonds on the river, I would still be going for a large bet here. He's checked it to me on all 3 streets, and his line is super weak. If this was a random card like a 10, a 4, a 6, I'm going to have to bomb it here for like $100 to $200. But since I made my hand and I want to squeeze out a little bit more value, I'm not putting him on a strong hand. I decided to go small here for 25% of the pot and bet out for $50. If he can't call this, he's not going to call anything larger. And sure enough, he mucks his cards. We show the table we had the goods, and we're up $925 early on in the session. $2,200 in my stack. I look down at ace jack of hearts from the small blind. The undergun raises it up to $20 in the low jack and the cutoff call. Now the action's back onto me. Ace jack of hearts, do you guys just call the $20 bet, or do you come in for the 3-bet? I think the 3-bet is much better. A, we're out of position and we don't want to go multi-wade with this hand, even though we have a draw to the royal flush. I decide here that a 3-bet to $115 is the best move. If everyone folds, we pick up approximately $60. If someone calls, we're going to have the betting lead and initiative. We can still have all the strong hands in our range. And furthermore, we can also just make the nuts on the flop or the turn with 3 hearts. So I really like my 3-bet to $115. Sure enough, everyone folds, but I put this hand in the vlog to show you guys that sometimes pure aggression is just the way to play. 3-betting to $115 here with ace-jack suited might seem a little reckless, but in my mind, and exactly what happened on this board, we're going to take down the pot and all the money in it.
If you were to give one piece of advice to the kids these days, what would it be?
Stay as young as you can for as long as you can. And if you can do that, there's a jester in like the 15th or 16th century. He told jokes about music.
Yeah.
That's what jesters do in rhyme.
Right.
He made a mistake of patting the king on his ass.
Oh no.
And the king said, uh-oh, that's it. Uh-oh, I'm going to condemn you to death. But there's one condition. You get to choose how you die. So the guy thinks for a second. He says, I want to die of old age.
It's good advice.
Most people at the table.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Arturo.
After chatting it up with Arturo No Loco, I look down at King Jack offsuit from late position. Straddles on, so I raise it up to $35. We're going to get 2 callers from the small blind and the cutoff. We're going 3 ways to the flop with 115 in the middle. When the flop comes queen, queen 4, the small blind checks it over to me. I'm in between 2 opponents, so usually I start with a check. That's what I do, and the cutoff checks behind. Action's on the small blind now, and he leads out for $40. Could be going for the raise here, picking up additional equity with our open-ended straight draw. We still have the overcard to the board, but if we raise here, we're only going to get called by better. Pretty much a hand like queen jack, ace queen, something of that nature. So instead, I look to cooler the opponent for the minimum on the river when I just put in the call and the cutoff folds. The river comes the ace of diamonds. Bang! We river Broadway. Definitely a dream card for us, unless he has a hand like ace queen or queen 10. The opponent continues betting out for $60 this time, and he only has around 290 left in his stacks. The jams for around 350 effective. He snap folds though, so we're not going to get any extra value. It's likely he was bluffing or maybe had a hand like king 10 or 9-10. Either way, happy to take down yet another pot. We're up to nearly $1,100 worth of profit in this 5-5 game so far.
Okay, it's Marcelo. What's up, baby?
So boys, we're up a little bit, just checking out 7, and we're having fun.
Great mid-session update.
After that amazing mid-session update from our buddy Marcelo, we looked down at King Queen offsuit from under the gun and I raised it up to $35. Got $2,400 in our stack. We're doing pretty well so far, if I do say so. Player on my left puts in the call and the cutoff now re-raises to $105. When the small blind calls, I have a decision. I could either go for a re-raise to like $350 to $400, or I could just put in the call with king queen offsuit. Not trying to blow up the pot way too much. It's possible we're dominated with a hand like ace king or ace queen. Either way, when I put in the call, the player in the +1 calls as well. We're going off to a flop 4 ways with 420 in the middle for you stoners, which comes king high, king 3 deuce rainbow. Obviously a great board for me unless we're dominated by a hand like ace king or pocket kings. Although pocket kings, there's only one combo of that left. Jackson checks over to the cutoff, who jams all in for $230. The action folds back around to me. We have a decision, although it's not really a decision in my book. Have to be putting the money in here. If there was any decision point in this hand, it was for sure pre-flop. Once we flop a pair here and the cutoff jams for a short stack, we have to be putting in the money, which is what I do. $230 going into the middle. We're going off to a run out, which comes the 4 of diamonds followed by the 5 of spades. The opponent turns over ace 10 of hearts, so I turn over my cards immediately thinking that I won. Because in fact, what does he have? He just has ace high, right? Wrong. He actually rivered the wheel. So we got it in on the flop with a backdoor wheel draw and a backdoor flush draw. I guess he had an overcard as well. But how the heck does that even happen? He's going to get rewarded with that $900 pot after going runner. But sometimes that's how poker goes. You make a great call and then the fish get rewarded on the river. How is that even possible? We need to buckle down here and get back to work. My stack has gone under $2,000. I look down at ace queen of hearts on the low jack. There's one limp to me, so I raise it up to $30. Probably could be going even larger. The under the gun limper calls, going heads up in position to a flop, which gives us top pair. Ace king 4 with 1 heart and 2 spades. Now when the opponent checks it over to me, I like a c-bet here of around $40. Instead, I go a little bit smaller for $30. For that price, early position pretty much has to call with his entire range. He puts in the $30 and we're off to the turn. The turn comes a 9 of clubs. I like sizing up on this turn. Let's see if I do it in the moment. Cutting out some yellow chips, and I decide on a bet of $90. $90 is great. We could even go as large as 120 or 150. The reason is he will have a lot of holdings with 2 spades in it. Also have some queen jack and queen 10 having a gutter to the straight. Sure enough though, he puts in the $90 and we see a brick on the river, the 3 of hearts. When he checks it to me for a 3rd time, I'm not going to check behind. I got to get a little bit more value. I have a strong hand and I decide to go for a 20% pot size bet. Will he call me for one last street of value? $65 is the price of poker. He doesn't oblige though. He mucks his cards, so I doubt if I made it a more normal $100 to $200 bet, he would have called anyways. Still, a win's a win, and I'm happy to take that one down, and happier to look down at my last hand of the night at pocket kings. As you can see to the right, my chips are in the rack. Now normally I don't play out of the rack. It's a superstition a lot of poker players have. I'm not exactly too superstitious, so I decided to put my chips in there, indicating to the table that this was my last hand. So of course the poker gods are going to play with my emotions and give me pocket kings. Not only that, a few players at the table have mentioned how I'm playing out of the rack, and they're putting a curse on me as well. I decided to raise it up to $35 from early position, and only the player in the small blind calls, going heads up to a flop of 10-6-5. Now really shouldn't be too scary of a board unless the opponent has pocket sixes or pocket fives. He probably would have re-raised me with pocket tens. So when the opponent checks it over to me, I go for a c-bet of $30. And alarm bells are now going off. Am I in a cooler situation? He check raises me to $70. Obviously, I can't fold for $40 more, but it is suspicious that he's going for the check raise this early on in the hand. Does he just have a hand like 7-8 for an open-ended straight draw, or does he have a hand like pocket sixes, pocket fives? We're going to have to find out. We put in the call, and that brings in the 9 of diamonds on the turn. So now 7-8 gets there, but he decides to check it over to me. Interesting line going for the check raise and then checking the turn. Do we go for a bet? I think a bet in the long run is going to make the most sense. It's not too common to see the double check raise from opponents at this level. Instead though, I proceed with caution. I have my chips in the rack. He's already check raised me once. I decide to check behind, which pairs the board, bringing in the 5 of hearts. We now beat hands like 10-6 and 10-9, having the over pair to the board. But the opponent bets out now for $200, and it appears that he might have slow played a set on the turn, checking it over to me, giving me some rope. Still, I look down at my hand, pocket king. Can I be folding on this board? Up until the river, there was only one of each suit, so there's no flush draw potentials that could have bricked on the river. The front door straight draw of 7-8 gets there on the turn, and all of his sets are still good, although pocket fives is a little bit less likely on the river. Ultimately, I think that last piece of information is what made me put in the call here. One of his possible hands on the flop, pocket 5, now gets extremely unlikely on the river, because there's only one combo of that, and you'd have to have quads in order for that to be good. So I put in the call, and he shows me the other possible set on the flop, pocket sixes. So he's going to get rewarded with that $610 pot. And now I'm starting to believe that there is some truth to playing out of the rack. Really interested to see what you guys believe down below. Do you believe in playing out of the rack is bad? Do you think there's no merit to it and it's pure coincidence when people get stacked in those large pots? Let me know down in the comments. I'm actually interested to know what you guys think. That was the last hand of the night. I rack up my chips and head over to the cage. Wow, leaving the casino with that view. Might have to move to San Diego instead, and the games here are definitely great. Ran into a few tough hands there at the end. Got out of the 2-5 for a profit of 511. Made 83 bucks in the 2-3 game, waiting for that game to happen. So the profit will be up here, but almost 600 bucks in a few hours, so definitely not bad. Let's turn this around for that sunset. Really appreciate all the support on the videos, you guys. Had a blast making it. If you guys are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below. I'll respond to all the positive ones as always. Good luck on the felt, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace! Thanks for watching to the end of my video. Click my head below to subscribe and stay in the loop. See you next time.